And well-known energy commentator from EE Business Intelligence is with us. This is what Eskom is saying in its statement tonight. Chris, good evening to you. System constraints, we've heard that before, and depleting emergency resources. Translate that into something we understand.
What that means is that Eskom has been running its emergency generation, which should only be used as a last resort. And it is the last resort before load shedding. And they've been running these things hard. To the extent where they're running out of diesel. They consume vast amounts of diesel, and these are not intended to run continuously or for extended periods of time, maybe for half an hour a day at the most. But when you run them flat out, they run out of diesel. It takes time to replenish. They've also been running their so-called pump storage schemes, and this means that the water in the top dam is now in the bottom dam. And now they need time to pump it up back to the top dam. They need to do this at times when there is available resources so that they don't do it during the normal working day.
And we've had problems in the past, have we not, with the diesel supply itself running perilously low?
Well, this diesel is imported. And it's, the amount of consumption cannot be adequately supplied by the South African refineries, which are already supplying for the transportation sector. So it's imported, and if there's a delay in a shipment, or if they've been using a great quantity, and the next shipment is not due yet, then you have a problem.
So if we have an over-reliance on the diesel generation, as you've pointed out, what does this say then about the maintenance program right now?
Well, we know that the coal fleet at Eskom is performing very poorly. It's old, it's been pushed too hard, it's skipped the midlife refurbishment, they skimped on maintenance, they don't have the space to do maintenance without shutting down plant and running into load shedding. So you're kind of between the devil and the deep blue sea. But I do want to stress that whilst maintenance is important, when you have these very old plants that are essentially damaged, there are diminishing returns that can be achieved by maintenance, and the cost becomes very high. And at some point, you've got to know that you've got to actually retire these plants, and you've got to invest in new plants, and new plants that improve performance, not like Medupi and Kusile, where the new plants are not performing.
My next question, don't we have two ostensibly state-of-the-art power plants anyway?
Key point is ostensibly. They were supposed to be delivering power, both of them, on stream by the end of 2014. That's 6 years ago. They're still not completed, and those that are completed are not performing like new generation units. They're performing as bad as some of the old ones. So instead of lifting the availability of the fleet, they're actually dragging things down, and the energy availability factor is not improving. It's actually declined year on year for the last 4 years.
Are you satisfied with the answers that Eskom is giving us in terms of those two new power stations?
Well, I think, yes, I am. They have been very clear that they are experiencing design problems, execution problems, and we can see that from the performance of this plant. So the question is what to do about it. And it's not an easy solution. There's a lot of money that has to be spent, and it also takes time, and it also means you have to switch off the generators. And this means, of course, less supply to meet demand and greater probability of load shedding. So really we got to look now also to new generation capacity in terms of the integrated resource plan for electricity, which is new capacity for the next 2 years. The problem is none of this can be delivered in the next 3 years.
So we've had a lot of enthusiasm and excitement about the appointment of a new chief executive officer. If I'm hearing you correctly, given what we need downstream, we're all going to have to live with the reality of load shedding for quite some time, and the appointment of Mr. van der Ruyter is not necessarily the instant panacea that we were hoping for.
Absolutely correct, but there are short-term solutions, but they're not going to come from Eskom, and they're not going to come from government. They're going to come from customers of electricity, self-generation by mines, by industry, by commerce, by farms, who can bring to the table new generation capacity quickly, and by that I'm talking about 6 months to 18 months.
And right back at you, I'll say, great idea, but there's a red tape problem.
There is, and the sooner a government can address these bureaucratic stumbling blocks, the better. There are ideological constraints within government, and I fear that it's going to have to take more pain like more load shedding, before the ministers of public enterprises, energy and finance get onto the same page and start dealing with the problem.
All right, let me let you get home before 9 o'clock this evening. From EE Business Intelligence, Chris Yelland, as always, thank you very much for joining us.